I'm going to zoom in here so you can kind of see what I'm up to. We made our little 3-inch mark. So what we want to do is our 3-inch mark, we have excess here, and that's fine. We're just going to bring this, and you can bring that over 1/4 of an inch, and we're line up the bottom here with that. Now once you do that, then push this up until the top covers that top part of the chipboard. So I can still see my pencil mark, and I'm going to make sure that this is straight. So it's going to look kind of crooked. Whoops, I don't know if you can see that. Let me see if the camera will zoom in. It's going to be kind of crooked. So I'm going to cut on that. Now, you have the one cut, and what you're going to want to do is we're going to make sure that these two are going to line up correctly. So with the one that's uncut, I want you to place it down. The top of it is going to hit over here to cover. We'll just put it right there. I can still see my pencil mark. If you cannot see your pencil mark, just lightly bring it down a little more. Okay, and it will overhang. We do have to clip that because we just have to. Now what we're going to do is we see where that line is. We're going to bring this right there, make sure it comes up to the side. Okay, once you see that, now I want you to draw a line so you know how this one needs to be clipped so it will look right. I'm going to drag this out so it will zoom in. So that is a good fit there for me with how I did that. Now we have overhang. Make sure this piece, when you place your hand down, does not move. So we're just going to make sure it's at the corner, and we will draw a little pencil line here. Okay, while this is still down and it's over at the corner, we're going to do the same thing, making sure it does not slide on us. Now we can clip at that angle. There's one. There's two. Now this one belongs over here. And there is the top of our piece. In your reserves, and I'm going to back this all the way out now, you'll have this piece. We're going to cut out and around the cherish. Now when you cut out and around the cherish, I'm just going to get this out first. I'm actually going to come and kind of oval it right over here. Kind of swing it around as best I can there until I have something like this. This is what's going to place at the top. I am going to glue it down to some scratch cardstock and cut out and around it, and Glossy Accents goes on this as well. So let's get our piece all ready to go. Let's glue this down, and I'm going to put the glue right here on the chipboard, and I'm going to place this, and here comes my Glossy Accents, and I'm going to just put some on there, and I'll use my fingers to swirl it around. Our cover is complete, and now we are going to move on in after our Glossy Accents dries to the inside. And how we do this is page 1, page 2, 3, 4, and so on. We're on page 1, and let's get out our pre-cuts here. On your pre-cuts, you cut a 3 by 5.5 inch piece, and we labeled that bottom flip pocket. There was no scoring. We cut 2 4.5 by 6 3/4. One was called the top flip and one was the bottom flip. We laid this on our scoring board for each one of these, and we scored them at 1/2 inch and 3/4 of an inch on each one of these. We cut 2 pieces that were 4 7/8 by 6 1/4, and we labeled them both fold outs. What we did was we laid this on our scoring board, so we were 4 7/8 inch across. We scored each one at a 1/2 inch and 5/8 inch. We then cut 6 pieces that were 4 by 4s, and we labeled those waterfalls. On each one of these, we placed them down, so of course we were 4 inches across, and we just scored them all at a 1/2 inch on each one of these. Let's begin. We're going to prepare our flower now before we start getting into building the page 1. So what I want you to do is make this identical flower with 2 of the leaves. Now the only difference is before you put your glossy accents on, I want you to flatten it down more. We're not going to have it as raised up as this. We're going to need it a little bit flatter. So you can just kind of mash it down and then apply your glossy accents, your prills, and then set it aside, that with your 2 leaves, to dry. In your paper pack you will find this lovely print, and on the back it looks like this. Let's first remove the top trim piece. We're going to turn our sheet like this, and for the main base page I want this print in here, so we do have a couple cuts. Measure over 1 1/2 inches and cut. So we have a pile going for our leftover decorative paper. We're going to stick this in there. That's our reserves. Looking at your paper like this now, measure over 8 inches and cut. Put the small strip in your reserves. Now all we need to do is measure over 6 inches and cut that right down the middle. This is what you should have. This piece here is going to be for our page 2. So I'd like you to set this off to the side. And I'm not going to put this in my reserves so I don't accidentally cut into it. I'm just going to set it off to the side. This is our base sheet for page 1. Let's grab our 6 4 by 4 waterfall pieces. And what we're going to do is just fold for now on those score lines and get these all ready to go. Grab your 3/8 inch score tape, and with the peak up on each one of these, what we're going to do on that little 1/2 inch flap there, we're going to lay a piece of our score tape, and we don't want any to overhang, and then we'll burnish it down on each one of these. So let's get these all ready to go. I have all mine ready to go. With your ruler on your page here, just come over to the side, measure over 1/4 inch, and just make a little pencil line. That's going to help us. Now 5 of them are going to go across this way and 1's going to go down here. So I'm going to show you how this is going to work. I'm going to remove the score tape from the side here. I'm going to press the sticky side back on that flap. And what I'm looking to do is take the edge of this and line it up with my pencil mark. And I'm going to come down about 1/4 inch from the top as well, so if you want to measure that. One way to try and stay even is watch your sides there. And we're going to place it. Our first one. And then you can erase your little pencil mark there. Let's grab our second one, and this is really easy because this is just like how we attached our inner pages. So removing our score tape, flip this over, and I'm going to butt this up right next to the other one, trying to stay straight, and I'm going to place it. Let's grab our third. Same thing. Line it up with the top and the bottom and place it. the next one. And our fifth one. So there is our side waterfall there. Now this one, all we're going to do is place it right down here, leaving a little bit of a space. So you might have maybe 1/8 of an inch space between this and between here. And we're just going to try to center that side to side as well. So I'm going to push back my stickiness. Try to get this straight on there. So this is what you should have. Let's get our decorative paper for this. In your reserves, you will find this print. On the back is that pretty purple. So we're going to look at it like this. We're going to measure over 3 3/8 inch and cut, and we'll move over again 3 3/8 inch and cut. This is what you should have. Let's just double these up. Measure over 3 7/8 inch and cut. This is what you should have here. We're going to flip this one over and we're going to apply glue, and we're going to place that right down in here, leaving a black border. And then of course we're going to burnish that down. Apply glue to this one, and we're going to glue that down to our first one, centering it in there. We're going to be doing our waterfall conserving paper, so grab this back out of your reserves and we're going to turn it sideways. Measure over 3 7/8 inch and cut. This is what you should have, and we're going to do a series of 1/2 inch cuts, and we're going to need 5. So I'm going to start here. I'll measure over 1/2 inch cut, measure over 1/2 inch cut until I have 5 1/2 inch strips. I have all 5 1/2 inch strips done, and what we're going to do is, here's our first one. We're going to skip one, and then we're going to lay it on this and leave yourself just a little bit of that black border on the side there. So there goes one, and then we're going to skip one, and we're going to come right on down to the very last one laying, and we'll do the same thing, and we will glue that down. So let's get those down first. Once you have those down, let's just flip these over. The first one over here, we're going to do the same thing. Lay that one here. We're going to skip one. We'll go here. We'll skip that one, and then the last one will go right here. And then we'll burnish it down. All of mine are down. Let's flip it back, and we're going to find the paper for this. In your reserves, you will find this long strip. On the back, it looks like this. Measure over 3 7/8 inch and cut. We need 4 1/2 inch strips, and I want to get some of this color and some of this color. So I'm going to measure over 1/2 inch and cut, measure over 1/2 inch cut. Then I'll start from this side, 1/2 inch cut, 1/2 inch cut. So we're going to do it the same way as we've done before with those. I'm going to take a pink one, and it will glue down here. And then I'm going to take the slightly orange one. This one has that print on it. And I'll place that one right here. Then I'll flip this over. And I will do the same thing. And I'll do pink, and then I'm going to do the other orangish or peachy colored one right like that. So let's get those all down. In your reserves, you will find this print. On the back, it is this. We're going to stick this on our paper cutter, and I'm just going to put a pencil line here so you can see. It's just to the left of this image, and then right in between these two, and we're going to cut here and here, and then we're going to fussy cut around this piece, and I'll show you mine. Here is my piece, and I do want to back it to some black cardstock just to give it a little bit more. So I'll apply glue this down, and cut out and around it. This is mine. You can see a little bit of the black there. I'm going to set this off to the side. We're going to flip this one up, and in your reserves from when we cut those 1/2-inch strips, you should have one left. And this should fit perfectly right down here in between, like we've been doing, or you can flip it over and do this side if you prefer. We're going to cover that little hinge there. And for this one, we are going to cover this whole piece. In your reserves, you should have this piece. This is approximately about 3 1/4 by 3 5/8. If you were to flip this over, you can center that in there, leaving a black framed border. We're going to glue that down and burnish it. We'll flip that down. This piece here we are going to glue down at an angle like this. Now we're not going to apply glue to the whole thing in case we would like to slide our photograph back behind and have some of our pretty cutouts to frame. So when we do this, underneath here we're first going to get right down here at the stem so that it's down, but not a whole lot, maybe a 1/4 inch or so up. Then what we're going to go and get the tip here behind this one, and we have a little bit up here. So I'm just going to place my glue right there. So I'm just going to place this down at an angle like this. Now underneath over here, you can now get a little bit of glue over there. In your reserves, you will have your cut apart page with your tags and sentiments. Fun times, we're going to cut that out, and we will cut out and around this piece. This is what you should have. Now I'm going to ink lightly around the edges of this with my seedless preserves. And we're not going to back this one, I don't think we need to. But this is going to glue down right here. So I don't want to get glue back on my purple sheet. So the majority of the glue is going to be on our piece so that we can still get something back behind there. There, and that's it. All right, we are now on to building the rest of our album. Grab out your fold outs. Those are the 4 7/8 by 6 1/4 inch pieces. We're going to fold on our score lines on each one of these, and we're going to get this attached. All right, so one of mine's going to be upside down, and so I don't confuse you, I am just going to erase what I have going on there. Okay, one's going to have a flip on this side, or our hinge. One is going to have a hinge on this side. Now, let's take the one with the hinge off to the left. You have an inside score line and an outside score line. Pinch on the outside one, smooth that down. I want you to slide that back behind your sheet. Okay, just kind of center that top and bottom however you can. Now push up against that hinge and pinch and hold it with both hands. We're going to flip that over. If you feel it slide out of place, realign and flip it over. So I like to hold mine down so paper does not slide, and I'm going to apply glue, some glue to my hinge here. Be careful with glue getting too far down because glue tends to spread and squirt out, and you could have glue get in your hinging area. So we're going to check that together. Okay, so I have that. Let's open it up. If you see any glue down in here, quickly get that up. All right, that inside score line that we had, we're going to push back against it and move it so that when we fill, it is flat. And you should be able to see it. Has a little spacing. Okay, let's grab our other one with our flap off to the right. On that outside score line, we're going to pinch and crease that. We're going to slide it back behind like we did the other one, but we're going to line it up with this so that it is lined up at the top and bottom. We're going to pinch and hold on to that. Hold it down with our hand and glue this flap down. And burnish, of course. We'll flip it back over. We'll check there's no glue. And we will push back against that other score line and then in until we are flat. Now, if you get a little misaligned, just try to maneuver your page as best you can. All right, let's flip these open. We're going to need to get our decorative paper in here. In your paper pack, you will find this print, and on the back, it is this, very pretty. Let's take off that trim piece. Now let's flip it over to this side and we'll just turn it. And we're going to, right in the middle here, if you were to measure over 6 inches, that should be right down the middle. We're going to cut that right like that to divide each side. Let's start with this piece. All we're going to do is put this on our paper cutter and cut straight down, dividing these two up. And you'll do the same over here to divide these two up. So we have these three, we'll just stick them right there. Now on this one, we're going to measure over 4 inches and cut. There's the other one, we'll put it right there. Flip this around to where your flowers are over here, measure over 4 inches and cut. And we will just stick these off to the side for right now. So the two panels that we're going to want right now is this one. And what we're going to do is place that over here. And we'll move it over so that we are centered between the outside score line here and the outside over here. So you can maneuver that around. And you're going to be centered top to bottom. We'll glue that down and burnish it down. Here's this one, and the same thing goes right here. So let's get those down. I got mine down. Let's just fold this one in. If you are adding your decorative trim like me, I am in the frame a card leafy borders, and the size that I have is this one. Now die cutters, what you're going to want to do is grab some of your leftover scraps. Cut 2 pieces of black cardstock that are 1.5 inch by 6 1/4 inch. And when you place this on your die cutting machine, notice I have this lip. We're only going to be using this plate. So you might want to have your plate top about 1/4 inch down from the top and then die cut them through, making sure you are even from side to side. Once you have that, this is what I like to do, is grab my scissors and I'm going to leave myself about 1/4 inch border on each side. And I'll do it over here on each one of these. And it never fails. There goes my dogs. They love to play. Okay, one is going to be for this one and one will be when we get over there. If you're doing your trim, add it now. So I am going to glue this down on the edge. We're going to now lay our piece. You should have this cut, and this is the side we want up. So we'll apply glue and we will center that like we did the ones in there, leaving ourselves black border all the way down around, and we'll burnish. Got mine down. Let's flip this. Die cutters, your other piece is going to place right here. So let's glue that down. We're now ready to place our panel, everybody. Let's grab this one, apply your glue, And we're going to center that, and my dogs are going crazy, and burnish. Grab your two flips. One says top flip, one says bottom flip, and they're both 4.5 by 6 3/4. Let's fold on those score lines. Let's start with the bottom flip. So we're going to be having our little hinge down here. You have the bottom score line and the top. On that bottom one, let's just pinch. We're going to attach it back behind our main piece and try to center that side to side, like so. Once we have it in place, we're going to pinch and hold it. If you feel it slip, realign, and we're going to tack this down. Okay, now you can pull this down to where you feel and it's flat. Let's grab our top flip. Our little hinge is up here. On the top score line, we're going to pinch. And we're going to hook it back behind, lining it up so we are straight with the sides. And once we have it there, we're going to pinch and hold and glue down that flap. Now, if you got yours on a little bit crooked, the magnets will help you get these to where they should be. So we're going to push up on that one, and you should have this. Let's start with folding this one up. Let's grab a couple magnets. Grab one of your magnets. And what we're going to do is come down about, I'd say 3/4 of an inch and place this one. Once you have your magnet down, take the mate, I have a minus, and place it on top. And we'll remove the little adhesive there. Now this part is where you can guide yourself to get even if you are not. So what I want you to do is do not pull, because you want that flat up here. You want it to come down to where it is nice and easy, natural. And then you press. Okay, and then carefully lift up. Now your magnet is placed. So let's get our paper for up here. And I'm going to save that panel. We're going to get into our paper pack. In your paper pack, you will have this print. And on the back, it is green. Let's take off that trim piece. Looking at your paper like this, let's measure over 4¼ inches and cut. Put your large piece in your reserves. We're going to need both of these panels here, but let's cut it to size. Let's measure over 5¾ inch and cut. We're going to apply glue to this side, and we are going to place that right up here, covering our magnet. And we are going to be centered from that top score line between the top of your black cardstock and then side to side. We'll glue it down and burnish it down. I have mine down, so I'm going to scoot this up and I'm going to pull this down. Now, once we make the cuts on this, don't glue it down. We have our little bottom flip pocket to install first. But what I want you to do is stick this on your paper cutter and trim off that purple bit. So once you have your purple little strip cut off, we're going to turn it so the flowers, little one is up here, measure over 5¾ inch and cut. Grab your scoring board and just place your piece right like that. Now, we didn't do the scoring on this because it's really not necessary, but I want to show you a way in case your pockets in the past, if you've been making these, have been too tight. Normally what we would do is put score tape at the bottom, place this, and wrap the flaps around the back. But to get a nicer fit, what I want you to do is just pull that all the way up to the top along with this one. Make sure you have even overhang on each side. Now what you can do is on the side over here, line up with just to the right of your little decorated paper with one of your scoring slots, and then you can score. Over here we will do the same, and that will help you get a little more in your pockets. Let's fold on those two score lines. Alrighty, let's grab our 1/4 inch score tape. Our next step is to place a piece of score tape, I'm using the 1/4 inch, across the bottom of your decorated panel. And we're going to burnish that down really good. Now let's release the score tape backing. Now this is real simple. Bring this up and you should be able to wrap your flaps around the back, but slide this all the way down to the bottom. Once you have it there, I want you to press your fingers in the middle and spread outward. And that helps too with creating a little more room in these pockets. And then we have to burnish it down really good down here to make sure that it makes contact and there's absolutely no air. If air gets caught under the score tape, you can have liftage and your stuff will fall through the bottom. So flip this over now and let's just apply glue to our little flaps, and then we can place them down. Now what I'd like us to do is we're going to apply glue to this whole piece, and we're going to center that side to side, and from that score line here, because you don't want to get it on the score line at all. You won't be able to flip your flips. They'll get caught. So we're just going to center that side to side and make sure we have some black showing down here, and we'll have black showing up there. And we'll glue that down. And the opening of the pocket is right here. This piece, which looks like this on the back, we're going to use. So looking at it like this, we're going to measure over 4 1/4 inches and cut. So this is what yours should look like. We're going to flip it so that this is up there. Measure over 2 7/8 inch and cut. I won't be adding any die cut trim because we have a piece that is going to fit along the top here. So I'm going to apply glue to this, and I'm going to bring it down to the bottom of my pocket there, and I'm going to glue that down. In your reserves you will find this beautiful border strip. On the back it looks like this. So we're going to stay together on our cuts so that we do have the same leftovers. We'll measure over 4 1/4 inches and cut. So now what we're going to do is flip this over, and we're going to apply glue, and we'll leave a little bit of a black border up here for our pocket, and we'll burnish that down, and I think that will look really nice. So we have all of this done. We're going to flip this up and get our paper for this. In your reserves you will find this. On the back it is green, and we're going to look at it just like this, where the purple's like this. Measure over 5 3/4 inch and cut. Once you have that cut made, let's just measure over 4 1/4 inches and cut. Alright, so all we have to do now is apply our glue and center that top, bottom, side to side and glue that down. Have mine down, and we're just going to flip that down. Die cutters or paper punchers, you can add your trim now. For die cutters, I cut a piece of 2.5 by 4.5 because we're 4.5 across. And what I did was I went into my ornate borders and pockets, and I grabbed this die along with the top piece. And when you do this, what you'll want to do is just, of course, bring your die up to the very top of your piece, center that side to side, and then you place this and run it through your die cutter. Now you'll probably still have the sides attached, so it's so minor I think I can get away with just snipping to release that top piece. snipping as straight as I can. If not, I'll have to fix that. But there you have it. What I'm going to do is apply glue, and I'm going to place that. In your reserves, you will find this print. We're just going to flip it around upside down. We're going to measure over 4 3/8 inch and cut. Now we'll just turn it sideways, measure over 5 3/4 inch and cut. We're going to apply glue and center that top, bottom, side to side, and we're going to glue that down. Let's do a couple things here. In your reserves, you will find this piece. On the back, it looks like this. We're going to fussy cut out and around each one of these before we add some flowers. And then what I would like you to do is on your cutout sheet, and we're just going to go out and around this purple one. This is Always and Forever. And one thing is you'll notice I like to cut in and around, and that's so that I can leave as much attached to this piece as I can, so that it's easier to find things, especially if I'm looking for a specific sentiment. We're going to cut out and around this as well. So we have all 3 pieces, and these are actually going to be glued together. So let's start with Always and Forever. Let's add a little glue at the top and along the side. Grab this piece, and we're going to maneuver it so that the bottom of this will hit the bottom of our leaf, or however you have it. We just want to be able to see our Always and Forever. Next, we're going to take this piece, and it's going to layer, so my stem is going to be glued right back behind that. So I'm going to start here, and then I can add more glue where I need to get it. So I'm just going to place that right there. And now I see where I need to get glue, like right behind the little scroll and a little on the side there. Pop that back up. And I think that looks really pretty. Now, once you have this down, grab some black cardstock, and this is where we're going to glue it down, and then we'll just cut it out and around, leaving a little bit of a black border, not much. I have mine completed, and what we're going to do is make this so we can still slide stuff back behind. So I'm just going to go right under here with the glue and right up over here. And I think that'll work. And I can have this go off the page too, so it looks nice. Now I'm going to flip this up and make sure no glue seeped out. I'm going to give my flowers just a little more time to dry, and while we do that, let's grab our lace to finish up with some stuff here. We're going to clip a piece of our lace that is going to fit side to side here. So we'll glue that down. Once you have that down, and that was the, I think it's called the petite fringe, we'll flip that up. We'll come on in over here. Down here on my pocket, I have the lattice flower, and I'm just going to glue that right on in there. Once you have that down, the petite eyelet. And for this, I like to trim off this so it's nice and even at the top. That's just me, my OCD. Anyway, I'm going to clip a piece that will fit right down here across the bottom of this. And I'll glue that down. So we got all of our lace down right now. Before we stick our flower on, let's flip this over. And I'm going to use my 1/4 inch score tape. I'm going to line the outside of my page like a picture frame to start. And we won't be placing this in our book until we complete page 2, and I'll explain why when we get there. It's just a little easier, I think, getting lined up is all. And it's a little bit easier sometimes before we add bulky things to get our score tape on the back. So with this, it's very bulky. So I'm just going to go 1 down the middle and 2 on either side of that. And then I'm going to burnish that tape down really good. Okay, it is time to lay our flowers. And I went on heavy with my glossy accents with my leaves, so they're a little bit wet yet, so that's fine. I'll be setting this off to the side. What I'm going to do is, and you may want to color green behind yours before you glue these down, because when you flip it up, you will be able to see some of the outside of one. So we're just going to lay one here, and we'll lay one right here. Yep, my glossy is just a little bit wet there. And then we'll grab our flower and we will place it. So you can arrange it any way you would like. Just whatever looks good to you. Once you have everything glued down, we are ready to move on to page 2. We'll set this off to the side. Let's go over our pre-cuts for page number 2. And we're going to need our scoring board for this. So the first thing that we cut was a 5 by 8.5 inch pocket. There was no scoring. We also cut a 3.5 by 5 inch piece, and we called this a pocket. We laid this on our scoring board, so we were 5 inches across. We scored at a 1/2 inch, 4.5 inches. We rotated it and scored at a 1/2 inch. We'll leave our scoring board out for a moment when we get started here, but let's prepare our flowers. Now I already got a head start here. I'm letting mine dry. You'll need 2 of your leaves. You'll need these 2 flowers. So what I did was on our number 3 flower, there's 2 of those flowers, number 3s, and they are layered, and it's with our seedless preserves. And then you're going to need 2 of your number 4 flower to layer with your Dusty Concord. So if you want to get started, pause the video right now and get those going, and then we can begin. We set aside our base decorative sheet for page 2. What we're going to do is grab our 5 by 8.5 pocket. Now, this is where you can lay it down and put your score lines, or you can just, after we lay our score tape, lay it down and fold your flaps behind. I like to give myself a little more room now, so just to the right side of my decorative paper, and I make sure I have even flaps, I'm going to find the little notch here, and I'm going to score. Then I'm going to come over here and find the same. And that will make it much easier for me. And not only that, it will give a little more room in the pocket. If I have had over the past where it does get a little tight sometimes. So let's grab our 1/4 inch score tape, and we're going to lay a piece right down here. This is our pockets page. And we will remove the score tape backing. This is a very quick page to do. Give that a little bend, and I'll hook my flaps around the back and just bring this all the way down to the bottom and press in the center and press out. And then we, of course, we use our tool to make sure that gets down really good. Then we'll just flip this right on over, apply our glue, glue down our flaps, and here is our first pocket. Now I am going to do a die cutting, and I'll show you what I'll be using. if you are die cutting and using the same die, cut a piece that is about, oh, I'd say 7.5 inches wide. We're going to want to wrap, if you're using this, around the back side here. And I cut a piece that was about 2.5 inch this way, and then I laid this one, which is this, the top part to this piece, which has the little border, and I just laid it down at the top. I centered it side to side, and I die cut it. So we're going to want to attach this, and I am just going to put my glue right here, and then I'll worry about wrapping my flaps, placing it down, and then we'll just wrap around the back side here, and we'll tack these down. All right, let's get our paper for this. In your paper pack, you will find another one of these, and on the back it is green. Let's take off that trim piece. Got the trim piece off, so I'm going to stick this on my paper cutter, and I'm just going to cut right on down to divide these from this one. This is what you should have. Let's go with this one. Put the other one in reserves. Measure over 6 inches and cut, which should be right about here. This is what you should have. This is the one we're working with. We're going to turn it sideways, measure over 4 7/8 inch, and cut. Let's apply glue to this, and I think this will look really nice, and we will center it side to side if you have some black cardstock showing, and we will bring it down to the bottom, and you should have a little bit of a black lip right there. We'll glue it down and burnish it down. Once you have that down, let's grab our other pocket, and you're going to need your scissors for this. Notice down in the corner you will have 2 score lines, and it looks like a square. We're going to cut out that square on each side here. Let's fold back on those score lines. Perfect. What we're going to do now is, here are our sides. We're going to pull those in. Let's grab our glue, and down on this flap here, we're going to put a little bit of glue. Make sure you don't put it over so far that it goes past the edge of this. And sometimes just using some scrap cardstock in there helps, so that in case any glue seeps out. So we'll pull those sides in, and we're going to pull this up. And we will burnish that down really good. Make sure that glue holds. Let's grab our score tape, and we're going to want our 3/8 inch for this. Hello, where is the beginning? Here it is. And I'm going to bring this all the way over towards the edge of the inner and bring it down. And same over here. And then we'll run one across the bottom. And it looks like I got a little overhang, so I'm going to snip that. All right, we're going to place this. So I'm going to show you first so you're not flying blind here. So the score tape, I removed the backing, and I'm going to show you. We're going to place this. We'll come up maybe a good 1/2 inch from the bottom, and we'll center that side to side. And I think I got that on straight. And we will press. And we'll make sure we burnish that down really good. So you have a little pocket there. Let's get our paper. In your paper pack, you will find this print. On the back, it is this. Let's take off that trim piece. I've got my trim piece off. Now what I want to do is put this on my paper cutter, and I'm going to cut in from the side all the way to here and down. And once I've clipped this out, I'll then separate these two because we're going to use them. You're going to need your pencil for this. So let's grab our pencil. We'll stick this off to the side. This piece, what I'd like you to do is come on down here to the corner and leave yourself a little black border there. And make sure it's straight, so when you're doing this, we're going to do what I call measure to fit. So we're going to take our pencil, and we need to chop off this excess, so I'm going to come down about a 1/16 of an inch from the top of that pocket, because I can still see the black, and make a pencil mark. Over here, to the side, where you can see the bottom of your pocket, because you can still see the black cardstock, I'm going to move in about a 1/16 of an inch as well. So our cuts will be this way and this way. So this is what you have. Now notice when we flip it over, look what we got. Faith. And it looks really pretty. We're actually going to glue that side down. How fun is that? Kind of worked out great for us that way. I was just looking, flipping it over and looking, so I said, oh, I like that one. And I like the colors in the background. So I will place this. Live in the moment. What I'd like to do is just place that, and I think instead of being all squared up there, we're going to glue that down right up here to the top. So I like that, live in the moment. So I'm just going to bring it up actually all the way to the top corner and glue that down. Alright, before we place our flowers, doesn't that look nice? I like that. Before we place our flowers, let's flip this over. I'm using my 1/4 inch. We're going to go around the outside like a picture frame, one down the middle, and then one strip on either side of that middle. And we'll burnish it down. I have my flowers, and here is the lace. And this is the petite fringe. We're going to apply glue, and we're going to glue a piece right down underneath our trim, if you have any trim. Otherwise, it's right at the top, and leave yourself a little bit of a black border there at the top. And I think that'll look really nice. I have mine down. Let's grab a leaf, and we're going to glue one right there. We'll grab our other one, and I'll bring it just like this. And I'm going to grab some hot glue for this. We're going to stick that one right here. And the purple one will go right here. Making sure it's not too bulky. You press down your flowers a little. Now I think that looks really good. Alright, as soon as everything dries, we are going to move on and grab our album so we can place page 2 and page 1. I have my album ready to go. Here is page 1, here's page 2. We're going to put page 2 in first. But what I'd like you to do is in your reserves, grab this sheet out. And we'll flip it over to the brighter colors. I want you to slip it back behind page 2 so that you can see where the outside of your black page is. Otherwise, it's very hard to see, as you can tell. So I'll just stick that right there. What I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you first, and then we'll do it together. I'm going to be removing the score tape backing from here. And when I place this, I'm going to come in at least 1/8 of an inch from that hinge area. And that should give us just a little bit of a black border over here. And in the same time, we're going to want to center this from top to bottom. So let's do this. So 1/8 inch in, and I'm going to try and do this top to bottom. Center this as best I can. And hopefully I will get this straight. And once you have that down, that's where we're going to burnish really well, especially around those edges there. And I can move that now. This is why we do page 2 first, is because the inside of our chipboard is larger than our inner pages here. So what we want to do is when we remove the score tape backing, this one actually is going to shuffle on over mostly to the left. We'll leave ourselves probably about 3/16 inch in left over here. But most importantly, we want to line up the bottom of this decorated paper with the bottom of the decorated paper over here. So let's do it. Now it's only page 1 that gets placed after the fact. The rest of our pages will just go in the same way we did this. So we'll lay our page 3 together as well. So I'm going to leave about 3/16 inch over here. And I'm going to try and line that up with the bottom of that. It's kind of hard to see without getting my head in the video, but we'll see how I do. And place it. Now once you've placed it, you're going to want to open up your flaps, your fold outs, everything, and burnish. And with that glossy accents on those cover flowers, you should be okay. It should not destroy your flowers. They've got to be durable anyway when we are putting our albums on the shelf and just, you know, everything. So we're just going to kind of help it out here. And there is page 1 and 2 in the book. And as you can see, my cover flowers have made it. I might have to pop these back out a little bit, but not much. But they should not be torn up on you. And that still looks good. We are now on to page 3. We're on page 3, so let's get out the pre-cuts here. And you'll need your scoring board out to verify your stuff. So what we did was we cut a 6 by 8 inch piece of cardstock, and we laid this on our scoring board so we were 6 inches across. We scored at a 1/2 inch and 5/8 inch, and we labeled that a fold out. We also cut a 5 by 8, and we called that one a fold out. We laid this so we were 5 inches across. We scored it at a 1/2 inch, and we scored that at 5/8 inch. We also cut a 2 3/4 by 8 inch piece, and we called it a top side pocket. We did not score this. And we had a 3 by 6 1/8 inch inside pocket, and there was no scoring on that either. Let's get our decorative paper. We're not going to be doing any flowers on this page or the next, since we were more bulkier on page 1 and 2. Let's give 3 and 4 less bulky, so it looks really good in our album when we're flipping through and closing it. Let's get our decorative paper that I would like to use out, and I think this is gorgeous. Let's use this one. In your paper pack, you will find this print. And on the back, it looks like that. Alrighty, let's take off that trim piece. I got the trim piece off, and I think what we're going to do with this is, we'll turn that sideways. We're going to measure over 8 inches and cut. Next, what we're going to do is, looking at our paper like this, we're just going to measure over 6 inches and cut. This is what you should have. This is our page 3, and this is our page 4. Let's stick page 4 off to the side where it won't get accidentally cut into, and we're going to work with this. Let's grab our 2 fold outs, and what we're going to do right now is just turn them and start folding on those score lines on each one. All right, so for this one, and it's going to show upside down. So if it bothers you while we're assembling, you can just erase these now. Nope, that one's fine. So I erased them with the larger one. And here is the smaller one. So we'll work first with the smaller one, the 5x8. And on that here's our flap. On that outside score line, we're just going to pinch on that and crease it, and we're going to hook this on back behind. So we'll just line that up to get it straight. And once you have that straight, we can pinch and hold it. Hold down with your hand so it doesn't slide around on you. And we'll just apply our glue, and we will tack this down. And all we're going to do now is fold back on that other score line and then push. And we'll be able to feel that it's flat on the side there. Let's grab our other fold out, and our little hinge is going to be to the left. And on the outside score line there, we're going to pinch and crease that. Looks like mine got off a little bit. And I'll just close that up, and I'm going to hook it back behind. And when it is where it needs to be, I'll pinch, hold it down, and glue down this flap. Once you have that, you can push back and fill. And if you need to check to make sure glue hasn't seeped out there, then do so. All right, let's open this up. And what we're going to get after, and this is a different style of a pocket. There's no wrap on this, but the 2 3/4 by 8 inch. This is actually just going to be gluing down like that, leaving a little bit of an opening here. So you're going to only apply, and I'm going to put the writing side down. So we'll just put some glue on the sides and then down one long side here. And we'll just line that up with the edge of our decorative paper, top and bottom. Make sure you're not on that score line. And place it. So you should have a little pocket. Let's let that dry for a moment. Trim die cuts. I will be getting into a trim die cut, and I'll show you what I'll be using. I'm in the frame a card leafy borders, and what I did was I cut a piece of cardstock that was 1 3/4 inch by 8 inches, and I centered the largest frame right centered side to side. I did leave 1/4 inch of border up here, and then once you have this, we're going to do the same thing we did before. And I'm going to have a thicker border over here, but I'm not going to go lower with my scissors like this. I'm actually going to try and stay to where I'm at the same angle. And then I will cut. And I think right about there. So I have a nice border here. All right, so I'm just going to place this now and glue this down to my piece. In your reserves, you're going to find this piece. It is almost 2 5/8 inch across, but we need to turn it this way, and we'll measure over 8 inches and take off that little teeny bit so that it fits our panel there. Once you've trimmed yours down, we're going to apply glue to this, and we are going to place it right on our panel, and make sure you don't go into your hinge area, but it will leave you a black lip right here. So we'll glue that down. That looks really good to me, and your pocket is still, you're able to get things in and out. Let's find our paper for each side of these fold outs. And you're going to need a couple magnets too. Let's first start with placing our magnets. And I got a plus one here. And I'm just going to get this little adhesive thingy off here. I have the hardest time with it. I really do. It just does not like me. Come on, little guy. But the adhesive is pretty strong, so I am going to come in about, 3/4 of an inch, somewhere in the middle there. And I'm going to close this side up, make sure you are flat over here. And we will grab the mate. And then all we're going to do is we're going to give this one a little bend, okay, not much, and then we're going to let it fall over naturally so that it's not pulling. And then we'll carefully lift that up and we have our magnet placed. All right, let's start on this side. In your reserves, you will find this very long strip, and on the back it looks like this. Measure over 7 7/8 inch and cut. Do not glue this down yet. We're just going to flip this so that the flowers are at the top, but place it in here, and what's going to happen is it's going to give you a nice black border, thicker border on each side, and that should fit top to bottom with black border. Let's grab our little inside pocket. Now you can stick this on your paper cutter or your scoring board and score on each side like we've been doing pockets, or I'm going to show you the other way here. We'll remove that backing, and I'm just going to give this a little bend, and I'll bring it all the way to the bottom, leaving overhang. And I'll press that in the center and press out. Then what we do is we can wrap our flaps in. We're going to apply our glue to our flaps and tack those down. And voila, there is our pocket. I am adding trim, so we're going to do the same thing as we've done before. You'll want to cut a piece of black cardstock that is the same width as your pocket, and in this one I'm using the smallest bracket. And we're going to go about doing the same thing by clipping up at an angle and trying to keep even with those. Hopefully I'm even. And then what we'll do is we'll apply glue, and we will glue that right on top to our pocket. In your reserves, you will find this pretty leftover sheet. On the back, it is this. We're going to stick this on our paper cutter, and all we're going to do is cut from here and then over to just cut out this piece. This is what you should have. We're going to measure to fit with our pencil. So what I'd like you to do is bring this down to where this is centered, and we'll bring and leave a little bit of a lip underneath our black cardstock. Then over here to the side of our pocket, we can make our first trim marks, and we can trim on each side. So let's do that. I've got mine all trimmed up. Let's move on to the next step here. We're going to just place this down, and again we're going to leave ourselves a black trim up there, but you may want to shuffle it over just a little bit so you can see the bottom of your pocket. And that's where we're just going to make a pencil mark where we need to cut this way. Once you've made that cut, go ahead and apply your glue, and we're going to just glue that right on down to our pocket. In your reserves, you will have this square. I'd like you to flip this over. You see where we have a bunch of good sentiments here? Let's put this on our paper cutter, and we're going to trim this sentiment off, and then we're going to cut these sentiments so that we have them handy for the tutorial. So the little sentiments, I think I'm just going to push these off to the side of my desk. The one that I want is beauty in the simple things. And I'm just going to apply some glue to this. And I'll bring that right up underneath my lip of my pocket there, center it side to side. And that looks good. Let's apply glue to this. And again, we're going to center that in there. Glue it down and burnish it down. Cut a piece of your lace, and this is the lattice flower. And we're just going to glue that right on down. Right there. On your little sentiment and tag sheet. It's that color on the back. Let's grab our scissors and try not to detach that one, but we're after the green one here. And we're just going to make a little tuck area. So I'm just going to kind of go around. Let's cut out and around this piece. And then I think we're going to need to back this with some black cardstock. So once you have this cut out, find some scrap black cardstock, glue it down, and then cut out and around. And I'm going to try to leave just a sliver of black showing. I have mine done. And I think we're going to put that right there. And I think what we'll do is we will place our glue back behind from here all the way down and over. We can leave this open to slide. You can put a photograph sticking right on out, or some tags. So right back behind here, starting here. I might give that a little bend. And we'll just place that right here. Just for the fun of it, let's cut out a tag for us so we can see exactly how this looks. And I think I would like to grab for us, let's just grab this one out. So we'll cut out and around this. I cut mine out, and I did go around the edges with seedless preserves to kind of sharpen up the edges there. But let's just try it. Let's see how that fits. And that looks really cool. You can angle it off any way you want there. But I think that looks really pretty. Okay, let's move over to, I am looking at something. Oh, that's even prettier. Okay, so I had one of these laying off to the side, and it's not shaped. I think I'll just glue that right on down there, and I can always put glossy accents on that too to stiffen up these pieces. So if you have a single layer, and I think this is a number 4, and it just has my stuff on it, I think I'm just going to do that. And I won't put it in the album right now, but really quick, I think I am going to put some glossy accents on this. And I'm definitely not going to stick this in my album yet. I'm going to let this baby dry. And then once it's in there, boy, that's going to look really pretty. So I'm going to stick this off to the side, and we'll put that in when it's dry. Let's move on over here. In your reserves, you should have this piece. On the back, it looks like this. Measure over 5 1/8 inch and cut. We'll turn that and we'll measure over 7 7/8 inch and cut. We're going to apply glue to this side, and we are going to mount it right on in there and burnish that down really good. In your reserves, you will find this on the back. It looks like this. Let's put this on our paper cutter and just cut out this little panel here. So this is completely up to you, but I'm going to show you what it looks like both ways. I wanted to add a little bit of the color and the green over this side so it ties it all in here. Now you can apply glue to this and glue that right on down just like that, or you can cut a piece of black cardstock and mount it behind to give it a black border and then place it down. And that is how I'm going to do mine. It looks a little more finished to me. It breaks up the colors between this panel, this, and kind of flows. But it's completely up to you. It's everybody's own taste. So just glue this panel down to black cardstock, and you can put it on your paper cutter and cut all the way around it so your cuts are straight. That's really good. And I always, even though I don't seem to put a lot of glue, this glue is really good. It spreads nicely, and I don't know what I'd do without this metal tip, that's for sure. Works really good. Now for me, I would still like to be able to have the opportunity to maybe stick a small picture mat behind here, tuck it back. So maybe we'll go, I really like it up here, so maybe I'll go about where this is down and leave myself about 1 inch from the top. But what I think I'm going to do is just apply glue to the bottom so that the opportunity to slide things back behind is still there for me, because I do like to tuck stuff. Okay. Let's see. This is still wet, but you should still be able to tuck things back behind. I'm a tucker. I love to tuck. All right, let's close that up. Make sure you're still latching, and you should still have a good latch. Let's place a decorative piece of paper on this one and this one. We'll start here. Grab this piece out of your reserves again. And on this side is what we want. We're going to turn it until the butterfly's upside down. Measure over 4 1/8 inch and cut. So this is what you should have. We'll just turn it this way. You'll have a little straggler there. Measure over 7 7/8 inch and cut. I like the colors in this. I'm going to go with it. I'm going to place glue there, and I'm going to glue that right on down to that panel. So I won't be adding any die cuts trim for the rest of this page. Let's place our paper here. In your reserves you will have this piece, and it's about 12 inches long, and it is approximately 6 1/4 inches wide. We want the same cuts left over, so what we're going to do is turn it over to look at it this way. This side, we'll turn it sideways, measure over 7 7/8 inch and cut. This is what you should have after that cut. Measure over 5 1/4 inches and cut. Let's make sure that fits before we glue it down. If we were to glue that down, it should give you a nice black border. Mine fits, so I'm going to glue that down. This next step is not in your pre-cutting. Whoops, shaky camera. Cut a 6 1/4 inch by 8 1/2 inch piece of cardstock. And what you're going to do is lay this on your scoring board, and you will score at 4 1/4 inches to make a little folder. Next, in your reserve, we had set this off to the side. Here is our opening. We're going to apply glue, and we're going to center that in there, leaving a black border, and glue that down. So if you need to pause the video right now, go ahead. I'm going to let the video run while you get your paper cut and scored and find this piece. I'll just start filling mine in with some glue and getting this ready to go. So this was an afterthought because I started thinking about this panel. I really like it, and I like the colors, and it looks good with the striped background. Now, as far as the inside, at the end of the tutorial you can add decorative paper to it. You can leave it black or solid colored cardstock. Let's grab our piece. What we're going to do is actually glue this down at an angle, so it's like a little folder fold out, and we can still get things back behind here, and it does not go over the edge. So for this, here's my opening. Over on this side underneath, I'm only going to come up about this far, right here, maybe halfway up. So we'll do that, and then we'll go across the bottom. We'll set this off at an angle, and do not let this go over the edge, or you can have a lot of problems trying to get your fold out to work properly. So now we have a nice folder, and we can still get things back behind. picture mats. So we get more room in there. Ooh, I really like that. Let's do it. Let's add this little sentiment. And I'm trying to think whether or not I would like to back it, but I think I'm just going to leave this alone and not back it. This is our little sentiment, live in the moment, and it will fit right down in here nicely. And we can also put a photograph right there. Page 3 is complete. Now, one thing you can do is place another magnet. And I think I might do that. And I'm going to show you, even though we have it down, it's okay. What we're going to first do is, instead of put it on the inside first, we're going to stick this back behind. So I think I want to add that magnet. So I'm just going to lift this up and slip it back behind everything, right on in there. Press it down. Now I'm going to open this up and find that mate. It goes like that. I have the wrong one. Let's see. There we go. Press. And then there's our magnet. Looks good. Let's flip that over, score tape around the outside like a picture frame, one down the middle, and I think one on either side. I think it's going to hold us. And then we're going to plant this in our book, and we'll do this one together. So here is our book. I got the score tape backing off this. Make sure you're going the right way so you don't plant it upside down at the other end. Page 3. Again, we're going to be 1/8 inch in from the side. Try to get that top to bottom. I think that's good right there for me. And press. We'll open this all up and start burnishing it down. And there is page 3. We are now on to page 4. Page 4 is super simple. We cut a 3 3/4 inch by 4 inch piece of black cardstock. Now before we get this down, die cutters, if you are cutting a border, you're going to be 4 inches wide on the pocket. And what I used is the ornate borders, and I used this plate and then the skinnier plate for the top. And then once you get that, you can just clip in from the side to remove the top piece, like so. And poke through your little thingies here if you have any stuck. Okay, and then what you're going to want to do is cut it so that you have a little bit of a lip so that you can glue this right on down to your pocket. So we are all back together. You got your trim down. If you're using trim, we should be 4 inches wide and of course 3 3/4 tall without the border. All we're going to do is back underneath here, we're going to apply glue down this side and across. So here we go. So this will be a little pocket, little corner pocket that we can get stuff into. And I'm just going to push that all the way down over to the side there. And burnish that down. Okay, paper for this. In your reserves, you will find this print. On the back, it looks like this. I want this bright color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure to fit. I'm going to place this down to the very bottom of my pocket. And then I'll come over to the side, trim it, and then we'll glue that down. I have my lattice flower lace. I'm going to apply some glue down, and then I'm going to glue it down right here. Grab Moments with You, that little sentiment, and I am just going to cut it right about here. I'm going to glue it down to some black cardstock, and I'll cut around it, leaving a little bit of a black border. I have mine down. I got some glue on there, right up at the top, trying to center that side to side. Page 4 is complete. Let's flip that over, score tape around the outside like a picture frame, one down the middle and one on either side. And go ahead and plant that in your book. We are now on to page 5. Page 5, pre-cuts. So what we did was we cut a 5 7/8 by 8 inch and we labeled it large fold out. We did place this on our scoring board, so we were 5 7/8 inch across our board. We scored at a 1/2 inch and 5/8 inch. Next piece that we cut was a 6 1/4 by 6 1/2, and we just labeled that fold out. What we did was we scored it at a 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch. And I have an extra score line, unfortunately, on mine. I misscored. We cut 2 pieces that were 2 inch by 7 inch, and they're FO inside pocket, FO outside pocket. And then we cut a little piece that was 1 1/4 by 2 1/4. It's our strap. We laid this on our scoring board. We're 2 1/4 inches across, and we scored at a 1/2 inch and 5/8. Let's begin. We're going to get ready for our flowers that we might need. You'll want one number 3 in green. And this flower here is the same one right here, just flattened out a little bit more. And I'm not going to put frills in the center of this one. I'm going to leave that one alone. And once your glossy accents has dried, you'll apply glue and center that underneath there to make this really pretty flower. In your paper pack, you'll find this beautiful purple print. On the back, it looks like this. Let's take off that trim piece. We're going to look at it on this side so that we can get the same leftover cuts. Turn your page sideways, measure over 8 inches, and cut. This is what you should have after making your cut. Measure over 6 inches and cut. We're just going to flip these over. It does not matter which one's which. Here's our page 5 and here's our page 6. Page 6 we're just going to set off to the side so it doesn't get cut. Let's start with our large fold out. We're just going to fold on those score lines there and we're going to attach it. So our flap is going to be off to the left here, and on that outside score line, let's just crease it and attach it. So we'll just place that so we are even. Once you have it in place, let's flip that over and get some glue on that hinge. And we're just going to push back against that and feel to make sure we are flat. Alrighty. We're next going to get on our other fold out, our 6 1/4 by 6 1/2, and let's fold on those score lines. Okay, what you're going to want to do is on that outside score line, let's just pinch it. And we're going to, this is going to make it easy for you, is we're going to hook it, and you will notice there's going to be a space. So just make sure that this is centered top to bottom. If you flatten this down, there'll be a little bit of a space. It should not matter. Just make sure you are straight with your paper. We're going to pinch and hold that down, and your hinge should be good. Let's just add some glue here and burnish that. And then it should fall into place for us. Okay, let's press back against that. Whoops, got some glue down there. And you should be able to have a nice flat edge, and it should look like this. Let's open this all up and get to the inside and start laying our paper. In your paper pack, you should have this print. It has the 4 6x6 panels. On the back, it is that vibrant, beautiful purple. Let's take off this trim piece. So the trim piece is off. Flip this to where you are upside down, measure over 5 inches, and cut. This is what you should have. Now, we're going to have a couple different cuts here. And the first one is we're going to use our pencil. Right above your print here, you will see some purple lettering. Just above that, place a pencil mark, just like that. And I think you can see that mark there. So now we're just going to stick this on our paper cutter and cut. This is what you should have. Let's get this to be the correct height. Looking at it like this, let's measure over 7 7/8 inch and cut. You will have this little skinny strip. What I want you to do is apply glue to this side, and we're just going to place that right here, just like that. Now let's apply glue, and we're going to fit that right on our inside panel, and making sure we are even everywhere, and we'll glue it down and burnish it down. Let's flip that over, and we're going to get paper for this. Grab this piece back out of your reserves. Let's turn it this way, measure over 7 7/8 inch and cut. This is what you should have. Now measure over 5 inches and cut. Apply glue to the back and glue that down. This next piece is not in your pre-cuts. This is an afterthought. Cut a 3 5/8 by 11 3/4 inch piece. Lay this on your scoring board and score it at 5 7/8, and then we're going to fold it. In your reserves, you will find this print. On the back, it is green. And if you grab this, and the opening would be at the bottom, and place it on this, you will have a nice black border. Let's glue that down. And again, the opening is at the bottom. I want to make it so that we can still stuff things back behind. So, back behind there. So let's just flip this over. And what we're going to do is we're going to along this side and bottom. So the glue is back behind here, and we'll just place that down. We can open that up now. And we can place paper on the inside at the end of the tutorial. Let's get our paper for right here. And in your reserves, you should have this panel 6x6. Now we're going to need to measure to fit. It's going to be a little bit long for this and to hit our hinge. So place this down so that you have a black border here, here, and here. Come over here, find your score line, and you will, to the left of that, make a pencil mark. Now let's trim. Do not glue this down, just make sure that it fits without interrupting that outside score line there. Let's set this off to the side. Let's grab one of our 2x7 FO inside pockets. And you can grab your scoring board if you'd like. Place your paper down, and I think I'm going to have mine like this. And I'm just going to place this so I have even overhang as best I can there. And then I'll score just to the right of the decorated paper. And I'll do the same over here. You can fold on those score lines, and let's place some score tape. I got my 1/4 inch here at the bottom of the panel. And where is my little knife? Here it is. And we'll wrap those around the back and let it slide all the way to the bottom and press in the middle there and press out. And we'll glue these flaps down. If you are die cutting, I am in the ornate borders and pockets, and you'll just want to cut a piece that is the same side to side. And for me, I have to trim a little bit more off mine, but we're going to glue that down. We're going to get our paper for this. In your reserves, you will find this print. Now this is the one where I punched out the butterfly, and there is a piece that is missing. All we're going to do is measure to fit for this. And we're just going to place it down, make some pencil marks where we need to be. So I'm going to cut, and then I'm going to glue down my piece. I have mine down. Cut a piece of your petite fringe, and we're going to glue that right on down to the top. In your reserves, you should find this piece on the back. It looks like this, and it is approximately about 3 7/8 by 2 1/4 inches. I'm going to grab my butterfly punch here, and I'm just going to place it right on down in here, and I'm going to punch to get some of that color. Now I'm going to set this off to the side for a moment. I do want to ink around the edges with my seedless preserves, and then I'm going to place some glossy accents on it to just give it some gloss and a little more strength, mostly for the gloss, because we're not doing anything real special with this, and this will be just fine by the time we do put it down and stuff. So and I'll get some glossy accents on there just to glossen it up a bit, and I'll set this off to the side, and then we'll put it on there. So I'm just going to kind of give it a little bit, not much, and then let that dry. Okay, for this piece, let's apply glue, and we're going to place it right on the inside of that panel there. And it looks good. Let's get our piece for the outside. In your reserves, you will find this piece. On the back, it is green. Let's place this on our paper cutter and divide these two panels up. And we're going to want this piece after we're done making the cut. So looking at your piece like this, just measure over 5.5 inches and cut. Do not glue this down. Make sure that this is just going to fit. And it looks like it's going to fit for me. Nice fit. So what we're going to do is just set this off to the side. You should have one more 2 by 7 FO outside pocket. Let's grab our 1/4 inch score tape. And I may have enough left on this piece here, this little roll. And we're going to lay a piece down at the bottom. Just going to give this a little bend. Now you can score if you would like to, and then place it. I'm just going to do it like this and wrap and press out. And then I'll just fold in my sides here. And then we'll tack that down with some glue. If you are adding your trim, now is the time. And I've got mine prepared. It's the same exact one from the inside. And I'm just going to place this down and glue it down. In your reserves, you're going to find these two pieces. One is this one, and on the back it is green. It's clipping off from when we did our other one. What we're going to do, if you were to lay this down, we're going to be too long. You will also find this long strip, and on the back it's going to look like this. On both of these, what you're going to want to do is just double them up, measure over 5.5 inches and cut. Once you have your pieces, you're first going to glue this one down to the bottom, and then we'll take this one and glue it right on top, leaving a little bit of a black border up there. Once you have that down, cut a strip of your petite fringe, I think it is, not the eyelet, and we'll glue that right on down. Alright, do not glue this down just yet. Let's get our little strap piece. You should have a 1.5 by 2.25 inch strap. And we're just going to fold back on those score lines right now. And what you're going to want to do for right now is you're going to, on that inside score line, we're just going to pinch. So all we see right now is what we need to cover with our paper for the outside. In your reserves, you will find this. On the back, it looks like this. What I'd like you to do is measure over 1 3/16 inch and cut. While you have this out, stick this on your paper cutter. Here's our one piece we'll be working with. And we're going to cut out and around how beautiful you are to me. We have our two pieces now. Let's just grab this one to start. And again, we are on our inside score line, pressing it back, so all we need to see is what needs to be covered on the outside. And we're going to measure to fit. We're just going to kind of put it in there. You'll see a black border here, and make sure you can see one here. And we will take our pencil and make a pencil mark and cut. You're going to want to grab your other piece, and we will use the one that we just cut to fit as our template. So we'll just make sure the other one is the same. Okay, now looking at your pieces like this, flip this one over and just place them both together. And I got a squirrely there. Once they are both together, then what we're going to do is cut at an angle. Now, this little piece over to the corner that you cut, don't throw it away. That is your little pattern. We're just going to flip it over to the back side, and we'll bring that up to the other corner. This way, we have an even cut on each side. Okay. Alrighty. The first one, we're going to glue that down. Alright, now that we have that, now we can just cut a little black border on the sides. And we know that the back one's going to fit too. Okay, we are going to flip this over. Here's our other piece that should fit perfectly in there as well. We need to get a magnet here. So let's grab one. And we are going to place that right in there, just like that. Now let's apply glue to this, and we're going to glue that down to the back side. So this is what you should have. This is the front. Let's go back to looking at it at the front. That outside score line, let's pinch on it, and we're going to slide it all the way back behind here. And when you do this really quick, I want to show you something. This is going to slide right into place, so you might want to go a little bit higher on it so it can hit right on over there. So once you think you have it in this area it should be there, we'll apply glue to this and burnish it down. Let's just open that up. Now, one thing I want you to do is to just give this a little bit of a bend, and let's find the mate. We'll place the mate on top there. Make sure that this is where it should be. And again, give that a little bit of a bend. And press, and you should make it onto the paper there. Now we'll apply glue to this, and we're going to bring it over just to cover the side of that magnet, and we will burnish it down. And sometimes it's just easier to open this up when doing this so that you can get down really good when you're burnishing. Mine is all down, and we have a nice latch. How beautiful you are to me. We are going to back that to a piece. We're going to glue that down to a piece of our cardstock, and we'll cut out and around, leaving a little bit of a black border. Once you have that back down, I think I'd like to use this so you can tuck in a little tag or something. So on the bottom, I'm just going to apply some glue down here. And we'll center that side to side and get that down. Alright, let's flip this over. Score tape goes around the outside like a picture frame, one down the middle and one on either side. We're going to place our flower now, and what you're going to want to do is place it right up here. Make sure you do not go over the edge, and I think that'll look really pretty right like that. So let's glue that down. Our butterfly and glossy accents should probably be all ready now. So this is what mine looks like after it's all glossed up. We're going to stick that right here. If your butterfly is not dry yet, do not flip this over and latch it. Let it dry. Page 5 is complete. Let's remove the score tape and put this in our book. We are now on to page 6. We're on page 6. Woohoo! We only had one cut, and that was a 5x8 piece of cardstock for our pre-cut. We labeled that side pocket. Now, flowers, to get ready so they can dry by the time we are done assembling this, these you'll want 3 number 4s. They are all single layered. 1 is with the Dusty Concord, 2 is with the Seedless Preserves, and you'll want 2 leaves. We set aside our page 6. Now what I'd like you to do is grab your score tape and place it. Now if you have a bigger score tape, that's fine. It's not going to matter. I'll use this big one. All we're going to do is come in probably, I might as well give you the measurement for this to make it easy. And I think we're going to measure in 1 inch from the side, and that's the right side. Just kind of make a pencil mark. Now take your score tape and bring the edge of it there. Now, some of you may have a little piece like this, some of you may have thick. It isn't really going to matter. We're just going to try and get that centered in the center there, top, bottom. And if it's a little off, that's okay. All we're going to do now is draw. just like that. So I'm going to get my scissors out. I think I'll take these. And we'll do the best we can here. All right, this piece here, throw that in your reserves. We have the 5x8 pocket. Now I'm going to show you what's going to happen. We do have to lay some decorative paper down, but this is just going to come up so we have a side large pocket to put our stuff in here. Plus we get this whole page to center a beautiful photo or maybe 2 photos. So let's start working with this and getting our paper. In your reserves you should have this very long 12-inch long strip, and it's approximately 1.5 inches wide. On the flip side, this is what we want. So you're going to need this to measure this up, but we're going to place this down. The idea is to get this centered behind this. So I'm going to place that down. Remember, bring the edge to the edge of your black cardstock. You can leave a little bit of a black lip over there if you'd like. I'm just going to bring it all the way over until I can't see anything. So the idea is to get this kind of centered in there like this. Okay, so once you have it where you want it, we'll just make a pencil mark here and here. Let's trim off that excess that we don't need. Once you have your strip the way you like it, we're going to apply glue, and I'm just going to match mine up there. And I'm going to burnish that down. Grab your seedless preserves, and we're just going to ink around so that you can kind of see where that pocket is. Okay, for this, what you're going to want to do is grab your 1/4-inch score tape. Where is it? I lost mine. Here it is. And we're going to line this piece here on the sides. Do not put it here. We'll go back here, right along the edge, and then up here along the edge. Now I could have made this 6 inches wide, the same as this, but I didn't want that deep of a pocket so that I can't put something in and possibly it gets lost in there. So now all we're going to do is remove the score tape backing, and we're going to place our piece. And I'm just going to come up here. Make sure I'm straight. That looks good. If you get any overhang, remember you can always trim off any of that black cardstock. But just make sure you burnish it really well. Okay, so now you have a nice wide side pocket. Let's flip this over, and we are going to apply score tape around the back side like a picture frame, one down the middle, and one on either side of that, so that we can get ready. This is a very simple, easy, fun page to do. Okay, so our opening is going to be off to the right on this. On your little tag and cutout sheet, you see Believing in the Best? Well, we're going to cut out and around that. And I'm going to try not to detach these. If you detach yours, that's fine. Just remember it detached in case I pull this sheet back up. So now I'm just going to cut out and around this. It's time to get our flowers down. Let's grab our leaves, and how we're going to do that is this one's going to go right here, and you don't want it to go over the edge so you don't snag up your picture mats that go in and out of the pocket. So I'm just going to bring this up, and then this one this. This can go up just a hair over if you'd like. That isn't going to matter much. Okay, so with our flowers, what's going to happen is we're going to hang this down like this. We have one of those that go in the middle, and then one of these, just like that. So I'm going to start gluing these down, and I think what I want to do is get the flower down, and then I can always trim off that top and tuck it. So I'm going to take the middle one, which is the purple, and then I'll get the other two along the side. And that looks good. And then if I can shimmy that up underneath, which I can, it'll hang like that. So one thing about this is I am not going to place glue at the bottom in case you need to slide a photo back behind. So I am going to get up in here though and just slide that right up. And I think that looks really good. Okay, this page is complete. We are ready to place this in our book. Remove the score tape and place it in. We are now on to page 7.